Everything we do for a random man in Missouri on Reddit. Welcome to Wow If True, the podcast of your wildest memes.
We're your one-stop internet culture shop here to dissect what's going viral, why we care, and how this might affect our real human lives. I'm back in the fucking building again, Isabel.
And I'm Amanda, and I've never read Homestuck. Anyone could be famous on the internet, so why not us?
Anyway, we're gonna really encompass the entirety of the human experience today, because we're gonna start talking about Homestuck, and we're gonna end talking about baseball.
And in the middle, we're gonna talk about horrors.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the horrors in the middle. No, we shouldn't joke about that. We are actually talking about the horrors.
There are two types of horrors. The horrors, haha, which is Homestuck, and the horrors, oh my god, it's actually the horrors.
I feel like we're building this up to be something, like, interesting, and it's just gonna be like, no, yeah, that's the horrors. Anyway, let's talk about Homestuck for a second. So it's fucking back. Homestuck, as of 10/8/2023, is updating again. This is relevant because it is not actually Homestuck that is updating, it is Homestuck 2. The sequel to Homestuck.
What?
Okay, so do you want the whole, like, Homestuck extended universe situation? Because I think that'll put it in context.
Homestuck2.com?
Yes.
Like, is that a thing?
Yes,
okay.
it is literally homestuck2.com. Go to homestuck2.com.
Oh no. Okay. How long has that existed?
I
just ask because Blazeball, R.I.P., the fun little baseball horror browser weirdo game that I like, a lot of the fandom, like, starting out was people from Homestuck fandom, just coincidentally. I don't know. I think they have, like,
no, it's not
it's
not coincidentally. It's got the same exact sense of humor.
Yeah. And there was a point where they did have blazeball2.com as part of the plot.
Okay, so homestuck2.com has existed since 2019. 10/25/2019.
Okay, yeah, so Blazeball's definitely doing a Homestuck thing there.
Probably, but also naming things blank 2 is not necessarily a Homestuck situation. A lot of things could be blank 2, you know?
But I think Blazeball is very aware of the influence of Homestuck on it.
Fair enough. Well, anyway, so here's how Homestuck 2 relates to Homestuck in 2023. So, Homestuck is a webcomic that went on for too long and got too many people very weird about it. Homestuck is a story...
We did do an episode about it.
Yeah, go listen to our Homestuck episode. Basically, it's a webcomic that got an internet fandom that was a fucking rabid, and a lot of things happened related to Homestuck existing. If you want more details on it, go listen to our episode about Homestuck, because we do not have time to recap the whole thing. Suffice to say, Homestuck existed. Everyone was extremely weird about it on the internet, including me. I was actually not that weird on the internet because I was in, like, high school and I didn't really make any content, but I saw people be very weird about it. Also, a couple of interesting, like, second order effects from Homestuck is that a lot of people who read Homestuck or participated in, like, fanfic or, like, actually even worked on the project ended up in, like, weirdly high positions of creative, like, power. Like, for example, like, I think it was, like, the art director for Bluey is a Homestuck, and there are Homestuck references in Bluey, which is, like, one of those things that I was not expecting. Tamsin Muir, author of Gideon the Ninth Locked Tomb series, she is a Homestuck, and I really want her to finish her fic from, like, 2016 that she's never going to finish. I think it's actually better than Locked Tomb. That's my hot take. Rebecca Sugar is a Homestuck.
There's the Pope Megalovania of it all, which, of course, is when the song Megalovania was played for the Pope.
Yes, which... Hey, none of these words are in the Bible. Anyway, but going back to Homestuck music, this is actually relevant because, so the thing about Homestuck is that it was a multimedia experience, and there was a lot of, like, osmosis between the fandom and people who were working on the comic proper, and Andrew Hussey would just kind of bring people on. Also, Andrew did do a lot of fraud and embezzlement later. He did do that. That is part of the story. Don't worry about it.
Insane. Imagine creating a webcomic and then doing a fraud.
Well, I mean, it was, like, a lot of, like, he did a lot of embezzlement. It was, like, a whole thing. Anyway, So the current state of play is that Homestuck is actually owned by Viz Media now, who is doing a horrible job of upkeeping the site. Homestuck 2 is technically a fan project, but it is also like, it was the original continuation of Homestuck. After the Homestuck epilogues. The Homestuck epilogues is actually the first continuation to Homestuck, which was written by a Homestuck fan author, but it is also a book that you can get at Barnes & Noble. Does this help?
Oh my god.
The Homestuck epilogues are also split into two books that are one book. The first titled Meat and the other titled Candy, and they are about the good end and the bad end, but they are both secretly the bad end. Anyway, Homestuck 2 is updating again after 3 years. This is why we're talking about it, because it's updating after 3 years with a change in management. It just won't die.
Huh. Did you like the update? How's it going? How's Homestuck 2?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's just a continuation, but it's just bananas that it's updating after 3 years. And it's updating with 3 years after a change in management. And now, actually, one of the musicians, James Roach, is running the whole show, which is very surprising because it's like, yo, you weren't one of the writers on this. You did a lot of really good music and people like you, but you're doing the writing now. The other thing is that they've created the Homestuck Independent Creative Union. So,
oh my god.
A union of creative contributors which was established to consolidate members of future Homestuck projects, beginning with the launch of Homestuck Beyond Canon. Homestuck Beyond Canon is Homestuck 2. And it is a totally independent entity from Andrew Hussey, What Pumpkin, that's Andrew's company, Viz Media, which now owns original Homestuck, or any other corporate interest. So apparently they've gotten a free license from the creator to just, like, do whatever they want. So I'm actually very curious as to where this is going, because it's like, why are you bringing this back after 3 years? What are you guys gonna make? And the thing is that, like, Homestuck, I cannot stress this enough, had, like, a really, like, had the sort of impact on the internet that, like, Destiel and Supernatural did, in a very real sort of way, that I'm like, is this gonna change anything? Or is this gonna create some interesting content out there? Or is this just gonna be, like, one of those, like, things that have lived for too long and are now, like, sputtering out? Anyway, why would you bring back a project after 3 years? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, bananas choice. Love it. Am I gonna read it? Yes.
Have you seen any, like, insane fan reactions to this?
Not yet. Honestly, the fan reaction, so this is why I kind of think it's not going to be super exciting, is because there haven't been that much fan well, no, people have been talking about it, but, like, more in the sense that people posted on Reddit, it got posted on Tumblr, it's like, oh god, it's back, and I think it's mostly old fans who are reading it and not new fans. The other thing is that there's been a lot more contact and openness between the creative team and the fans again, which is like, so what was really interesting about Homestuck to begin with was that there was, like, no barrier between the fans and the creator. Like, I cannot stress, at one point people mailed Andrew Hussey a dildo as part of a bit. Like, there was some real psychosexual weirdness happening, let's be real.
Really a reversal of the Colleen Ballinger situation.
Yeah, truly. So they're trying to bring back some of the open dialogue that kind of started not existing as Homestuck got bigger, and I hope this works out for them. I'm a little worried it won't, but it's like, I mean, it's like James Roach will talk on the R Homestuck subreddit. Also, shout out to Brian, who used to be a mod for the R Homestuck subreddit. Actually, I'm gonna go totally off script. Let's talk about the Hugo nominee subreddit. Not subreddit, Hugo nominee Discord.
Oh man, I love that this exists. I love the more obscure discords we can get into, the better this podcast will be.
No, like, so here's the thing, is that this is literally just a Discord for people. It's Hugo finalists and winners, and basically everybody from 2023 is there, which is really interesting because it's got a really, like, wide range of people's famousness levels. Because, yeah, like, you'll have, like, Shannon McGuire, who I always say her name wrong, that's fine, and Travis Baldry, and, like, people who are, like, popping off a lot of the time in there, and then also I'm in there, or, like, people who are, like,
and you're popping off,
and I'm popping off. No, but it's also that there are people, like, who are doing, like, best fan artist, or, like, best, like, semi-prozine, like, blog something. I'm mixing, like, 4 different categories together. I'm sorry, everybody. Where it's like, this is more of a niche industry thing than it is, I have written the bestseller. But, so it's been really interesting to be in that Discord, just because I'm there, people I know from Wizards are there, And if I really wanted to, now I can DM them. And I don't want to do that because it's like, it's a weird situation where I'm like, you know, Shannon, I did read all 16, 17 of the books in your Toby Day series to like a month ago in a week, and I really liked them. But I can't tell her that. That would be weird. So it's interesting because there's the channels that they have in there are like Red Carpet, Celebration, Gripes and Complaints, Pets, Kids, and Other Picks, COVID. There's a whole COVID channel, which is depressing to me that we live in 2023 and this is still an issue. Like, it is. Like, we should have the COVID channel, but I'm like, damn, I'm so sick of thinking about it. And then a couple of things where you can only get in if you're in the 2023, like, class, I guess, where it's like the 2023 Hugo finalist and the 2023 Worldcon liaison, which is just people talking about, like, administrative stuff and also just, like, hey, are you going? And then at one point, oh, do you want to hear about my biggest interaction with the server?
Yes.
Someone was like, oh, I packed a dress for this like, the awards ceremony. And, like, people dressed up nice for it. And I posted, because I had already filmed my video, my acceptance video, in case they need it. And I was like, wait, we were supposed to dress nicely? And then everyone was honestly extremely reassuring about the fact that you did not need to dress very nicely. Like, I wore, like, a nice top, but I felt stupid sitting in my house in a ball gown. And none of my stuff makes me look great in the shoulders anyway, so I wore, like, a nice blouse. And then somebody shared a photo of when they went to Worldcon in a Pikachu suit.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Like a full body, like Halloween style blow up Pikachu suit. And I was like, damn, I love nerds so much.
Good stuff.
So that's how the Hugo Awards are going. The reason I think I'm not going to win is not because of like my stuff's not that good or whatever. It's because there's one confounding factor, which is that the Hugos are in China this year. So it's in Chengdu, and we don't know how the Chinese vote is going to go, which is actually really interesting. It's actually causing a lot of, like, discourse because people are like, yeah, we have no idea how people are going to vote this year because of the Chinese language vote. And the other thing is that both of the novelists on there have a lot more clout than I do. So, yeah. You know how it is. But I think I'm the intellectual's choice in that sometimes people on Reddit will be like, I think Isabel should win. And I'll be like, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't say that because
that's
it'd be
amazing.
Weird.
I love that you're reading people on Reddit, like, discoursing about who's gonna win.
Oh my god, you don't understand. There's, like, 4 guys between, like, r/fantasy and r/print.sf who occasionally will talk about me. And I try not to respond because I feel like that's a weird thing for me to do. Because I'm like, I can't go in there and talk about me. You're already talking about me.
It's just so funny that, like, there's, like, some random guy who's really into, like, sci-fi magazines who lives in Michigan or something and is like, oh, hell yeah, another Isabel J. Kim story.
Honestly, that's how it is. And I'm always like, damn, I cannot fucking let you down, my man. These have to be good for you.
Everything we do for a random man in Missouri on Reddit.
Honestly, literally, that's where I'm at. Like, there's, like, 3 people that I care about liking my stuff, and it's, like, it's more than 3. It's, like, if Allison likes it, if Roshan likes it, and if, like, these 4 guys on Reddit like it. Anyway, so the Hugos are happening this year. There's some hot takes from the Hugo Awards is that people think that the novel slate this year is pretty bad. Or not bad, but, like, not up to par.
Let me see if I've read any of them.
So, the thing is that, like, 2 of these are, like, fluff books. One of these is a continuation, and the rest of them are people are like, this is good, but it's not doing anything new.
You know, I see what you mean now about how there's a guy that got nominated for Best Novel who also got nominated for The Astounding, and, you know, that's intimidating.
Legends and Lattes, like, popped the fuck off this year. Not in a way that I'm mad about, but more in a way where I'm like, this is basically fanfic. This is fanfic for this dude's D&D campaign that he self-published. Then it got picked up by Tor. He seems like a super nice dude, and he's very well known in, like, voice actor circles for, like, audiobooks. And I'm not, like, mad about it. I'm just kind of like, yeah, you're probably gonna win it, and I don't think you should win it. I actually, like, even if I don't win it, I think someone else should win it. Just because I don't think your writing is that good. If he ever listens to this, Travis, I'm fucking sorry.
Yeah, people from the Discord are gonna listen to this and be like, wow, Isabel Kim has a podcast and she's talking shit about our Discord.
It's fine.
Except you're not talking shit about it. You're just like, I thought this person's book was fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, I mean, the Discord exists. Like, people aren't super active on it, but it's kind of an interesting Discord to be in. Just because I'm like, wow, this is a bunch of real guys. Other discourse here. This is relevant to you and the Hugos. So the Golden Enclaves.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that's up for the best YA book.
Let's fucking go.
But people are discoursing about it because is it YA? Because it's also up for, I think, best series, I believe. And they're like, well, two of them. It's not even that. It's really just that, like, people are not sure whether the Golden Enclave should be included in the YA section, which is kind of an interesting discourse. Like, the YA is always kind of a big discourse here because it then ends up being like a, what is YA?
I mean, yeah, I don't have an answer to that. I think you can make an argument that it is YA. You can make an argument that it's not YA. I think it's just a matter of, like, well, is this book being marketed to teens? I don't know.
See, that's the thing, like, because I don't think it was. I think it was just for, like, it's in the regular section, you know?
I think I actually originally found out about it. This is the most Amanda thing that we've ever heard of.
I'm excited.
We're talking about the Scholomance series by Naomi Novik, and I first heard about it because I think Hank Green made a TikTok and was like, hey guys, this book, pretty good. And then I looked it up and I was like, that sounds interesting, I'll read it. And then I, like, loved it. And then I recommended it to you, and you were like, oh yeah, this is Naomi from fanfiction. And I was like, what?
Oh yeah, you know, Naomi from Supernatural fanfiction.
Oh yeah, you know, Naomi who, like, literally created AO3.
Yeah, you know, AO3 Naomi. I love Naomi. I'm so scared that I'm gonna run into her at some point and be like, nice fic. Why all the Transformers? Oh, the other things that are happening is that I had to figure out, like, what time Chengdu to New York is, and, like, in what direction. Because it's happening at 8 p.m.
Okay, 8 p.m. when?
Saturday night, which means that it's 8 a.m. If you're listening to this when it comes out on Wednesday, it will be the Saturday nearest to you.
Hell yeah. That's really deep. The Saturday nearest to you.
Yeah, and it'll be like 8 a.m. Saturday. I also don't know how to watch them. Because, okay, the other thing is that Chengdu has been very bad about, like, giving instructions on how to do things. And also, I'm not, like, signed up for any panels or some shit because I just didn't know what my life would be like. I got invited by Huawei to be on a panel. And I also got invited by the Chengdu Worldcon to, like, pay for my hotel and flight over to Chengdu. And I decided not to go because I felt weird about the Chinese government paying for that much stuff. Yeah, and also there was, like, a lot of discourse around, like, people... Anyway, there's a whole thing. I'm not going to get into it, but basically, I also looked at it and was like, it takes 2 days to get to Chengdu and you have to switch flights 3 times, and the conference is, like, 4 days.
Also, you, like, have a job.
I have, like, a job, and, like, I mean, I could have taken time off for it, but I was also, like, I probably can't. Like, it would have been difficult, and it would have also been stressful, and I was like, okay, you know what, I'll just go next year to Glasgow when they're doing Worldcon there, and if they give me an award there, that'd be cool, and if they don't, that's fine, and I could just hang out with people, and that'd be better than this. But I don't know how to watch it or anything, so I don't know how I'm gonna know if I win or lose, or who wins or loses. So, watch the space. The other thing I got invited to that I just want to talk about because I thought it was interesting is I got invited to an academic science fiction conference in Florida next year.
Where in Florida?
It's like Orlando.
Oh no.
Why, oh no?
Orlando.
I mean, it's near the airport, it's just at a hotel, but basically it's... So the reason I want to bring this up is because I think that they're doing a virtual conference and also an in-person conference, and the virtual conference is... The theme is, with 4 A's and an exclamation point, and that stands for AI, algorithms, automata, and art. And I just thought that was really funny.
That makes me sad, but I get it.
I like the with a exclamation point.
I do really feel about that. Damn, you know what else I feel about?
What do you feel about?
So, I think the internet is bad.
Mid-take, but go on. Go off, bestie.
I will start by saying, so this essay has been kind of going viral in the New Yorker by Kyle Chakia, which honestly I don't think is really breaking any new ground, but I do think it's sort of... There are certain interesting things that he points to in making the argument about how the internet is not fun anymore. That is the title of the article, Why the Internet Isn't Fun Anymore. And he's asking the question of when's the last time he had fun on the internet. And he said, what comes to mind is a website called Original that hosted games made with Flash, the late interactive animation software that formed a significant part of the kitschy internet of the 2000s, before everyone began posting into the same platform content holes.
I really love that part of it. I agree with you. What a random fucking thing for him to bring up. Also, platform content holes is just a really good term of art used here. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, because I think in the early internet, part of the fun of it was, like, you had to know a web address to go to in the same way that you need to know, like, the address of your friend's house to go to your friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
You had to, like, write down lists of, like, here are the websites with the fun games. Now it's just everything is on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and Tumblr and...
I would actually argue that Tumblr's kind of an outlier and should not be counted in this space, but, like, the increasing funneling...
I mean, that's just, like, my bias.
You're valid. But, like, the funneling of people into these corporate walled gardens, like, I mean, this is, like, not a take that's, like, original or anything. The people getting funneled into, like, corporate walled gardens, where it's basically people are just trying to sell you shit, rather than, like, having organic interactions or creating anything interesting, is, like, the internet is increasingly feeling corporate and more like work than it is anything entertaining.
Oh, yeah, and I think that's why Threads isn't going to take off, because Threads is very, like, haha, did you see that, this company is on here, and they made a joke, and they talked about Taylor Swift. I think Threads is kind of like the Empire State Building turning red for Taylor Swift, Red's version, or Red, Taylor Swift's version.
Yeah.
Which I do kind of think the Empire State Building is funny when it just does things that are, like, I don't know. The Empire State Building is, like, a month away from becoming chuggy.
I mean, the Empire State Building is so old, it's been chuggy forever, but I like that it'll do shit like that. I think that's funny in a way that's, like... Because the thing is, the Empire State Building isn't trying to sell you shit. I mean, it's trying to sell tours, but that's not helping. But, like, Threads is trying to get you on this, like, Threads is trying to sell you shit, whereas the Empire State Building lighting up is just like, heh, look at that.
Yeah, that is true. I also thought the point was good that the co-founder of the All, Choir Sicha, I'm probably saying his name wrong, said, quote, "If I had a time machine, I'd go back and assassinate 2014, notably the year that we graduated high school." The quote continues, "That was the year of viral phenomena such as Gamergate, when a digital mob of disaffected video game fans targeted journalists and game developers on social media, mostly women, he does not mention. Ellen DeGeneres' selfie with a gaggle of celebrities at the Oscars, which got retweeted millions of times. And the brief, wondrous fame of Alex, a random teen retail worker from Texas who won attention for his boy next door appearance."
Was he the Target kid?
I don't know the Alex part.
I think he was the Target kid. You know, the Target kid in the red shirt.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I might be misremembering. Anyway, my cynical take on all of these sorts of quotes is that, like, was 2014 really the bad year, or was this just the year that you saw it getting bad? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you could take out any year between, like, 2012 and 2023 and make a similar argument.
I feel like there were a lot of times when the internet was bad.
Yeah, it's like, would you maybe take out 2016, you know? Like, you'd have a similar effect. Christ.
But yeah, I mean, the Ellen DeGeneres selfie is really... I do see that sort of as a turning point of the internet. Because I think that is, like, the fulcrum of corporateness.
Right. Okay, here's my hot take about this. Is there an argument for the fact that maybe it's a good thing if the internet becomes aggressively corporate and not good to use, because then we will all stop using the internet so much? Like, it's the same argument as Elon Musk getting Twitter and just completely fucking shit up is good for society because now we're less on Twitter.
Maybe. I don't know. I think I'm just so on the internet, and I need to be on the internet less, but being on the internet is, like, my job, so it's kind of... you know, a conflict in my life that I'm reckoning with and, like, talk to my therapist about. And then she's like, my therapist is not online, which is really funny to me.
Do you have to explain online things to your therapist a lot?
I mean, it's like I'm not going into therapy and being like, let me tell you about Homestuck. But,
I think you should do that.
But, like, I'll be in therapy like, hey, I'm, like, stressed out about the way that people are weighing in on global events on Instagram and how it's, like, it feels really weird. And speaking of weighing in on global events on social media...
Yeah, hey, let's talk about, you know, things being bad. Things being bad and not good.
I think this is, like, the final frontier of late-stage capitalism and the internet and just the horrors.
Oh my god, it's truly like it's really a black hole of all the horrors. Yeah, to part the curtain for a second, we actually debated a decent amount about talking about this, because we were like, yo, we're an internet podcast. We don't, like, we're not news. But we ended up deciding to talk about it.
Yeah, I just think this is so like, bizarre that I just can't stop thinking about it. So, first off, if you've come to WoW True for commentary on geopolitical crises, stop. And also, murdering innocent people is bad. Anyway, so, the Israel Twitter tweeted, quote, "Thank you to all of the incredible Israeli companies, volunteers, and individuals who are coming together to help as many people during this horrific time." I just realized that's like as many. See, they didn't even like write it. That sentence is weird. But anyway, what's weirder about it is that then they say, at BetterHelp, a company which offers therapy, is providing 6 months of free therapy to those affected by the war in Israel.
Like, what an insane thing to say. Also, okay, maybe we should talk about what BetterHelp is before we get into this.
It's just like a therapy app. It is founded by an Israeli. The tech industry is really big in Israel, and yeah, they're one of those apps you go on, you can get connected with a therapist, do therapy, you can like text them, whatever. It's sort of controversial because on one hand they've been like called out for improperly handling user data in the past. On the other hand, it's like if you're someone who can't safely access therapy in other ways, or if you're in like a very, very rural area and can't find someone who's like matches the specialty that you need, like, I mean, people having access to therapy, sure, good, but also, is a tech company the best thing through which to make that happen?
Right, like, BetterHelp existing at all is very late-stage capitalism. BetterHelp getting called out by the Israeli government Twitter is, what is going on here? Why is this happening?
Yeah, I think also part of why it's so weird is that BetterHelp is, like, very well known for sponsoring podcasts. So I'm used to listening to, like, a D&D podcast, and then they're like, "Hey, are you ever sad about, your wizard friend died? Try BetterHelp." And then now it's, like, Israel being like, "Are you sad that we got attacked by terrorists and then we attacked them back? BetterHelp."
You know, two equivalent things. Two normal and equivalent things that are definitely the same.
I don't know. It feels to me the same as if Donald Trump got reelected. Hopefully that does not happen. Like, I'm not speaking this into existence. Like, if Donald Trump were to get reelected and then, like, Joe Biden tweets, like, "Hey guys, here's 6 months of BetterHelp."
Yeah, it's the thing is that it's such a disproportionately tiny response to atrocities, and like I'm not even gonna get into the who is right about things in the global conflict.jpg, despite having my own opinions on the subject. Just the fact that it's like, hey, how about this online therapy app for the troubles, you know, for the horrors? And it's like, why is this what you're offering? Why is this what seems like a regular thing to put on social media? It's just weird, man.
Yeah, and I mean, not to mention also that, like, when they say therapy to those affected by the war in Israel, that could presumably mean Palestinian people. However, imagine, like, calling BetterHelp and being like, "Hey, my house is getting bombed. I'm sad." Like, there are some things that just, like, trauma therapy cannot help with when you are literally in the middle of a war zone. Also, people in Palestine can't even use BetterHelp because their access to the internet is getting cut off. So, you know?
You know, there's the other flip side of this where, like, somebody can just call in and be like, "Hey, I really hate reading all these news articles. It's really bumming me out. Can I have some free BetterHelp?"
Literally me in therapy with my therapist who I do not see via BetterHelp.
Well, maybe you could get a second therapist through BetterHelp and their 6 months free offer. I don't know, man. Like, this whole thing is this just sucks. This is like dystopian science fiction bullshit.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. And I did email BetterHelp about this because I was thinking about writing about this for TechCrunch.com, and then I was like, you know what? I don't want to talk about this on the internet except on my podcast. Good for you. Like, you deserve to hear my takes. No, but, like, so I emailed BetterHelp about it, and then they were like, "Oh, this isn't, like, a thing we exclusively are doing, like, with the Israel Twitter." Like, they did not, like, partner with @Israel on Twitter. They do this where, like, apparently they offered free therapy when the Russia-Ukraine war broke out and, like, other crises, they do this. But it also just feels then like it's a marketing ploy for them. And then that feels weird because it's like people are dying.
Okay, here's my question. would you rather BetterHelp be doing this promotion for free therapy for global crises, or would you rather them just ignore global crises? This is a genuine question because I'm like, it's a weird thing to be doing, but like, is it arguably better than not doing anything?
I think if people can benefit from it, then that's cool, but I also worry just about, like, how legitimate are these offers? Like, are they hiring more therapists? There's already been issues of BetterHelp hiring therapists who haven't totally been vetted. Like, are they going to have enough therapists who have experience talking with, like, people who have PSTD from the military or something? I just said PSTD.
PSTD,
that's fine.
The sequel to PTSD, yes.
Post-stress traumatic disorder. But, like, talking to someone with, like, an anxiety disorder is different from talking to someone with, like, an eating disorder is different than talking to someone who's, like, experiencing war. I just think at some point, like, I don't think BetterHelp is, like, capital B bad, but I do think that it is reasonable to be at least a little bit skeptical of mental health tech startups, because I think that's sort of an oxymoron in that tech startups are incentivized to grow at whatever the cost. And you can't really scale therapy in that way. Like, you're incentivized to be fast, but if you quote unquote move fast and break things and...
Yo, that's a person you're breaking! That's a human being!
Yeah, like, I'm sure that, like, the investors in BetterHelp are putting pressure on them to keep growing, and maybe super, super fast growth doesn't always lend to the best data practices or the best hiring practices, which then impact BetterHelp's ability to provide really good mental health care.
In summary, Jesus fucking Christ. Why is any of this happening? Yeah, it's hard to have, like, you know what I mean? Where, like, it's hard to have a take on this other than, like, so there's people sure are doing horrible shit, and now a company is here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, what? Like, I almost can't even say that BetterHelp is doing anything wrong in this scenario. Because it's like, sure, like, the fact that you're here in the first place, like, speaks to something further broken in society, like, upstream, that is creating conditions that you feel like you need to do this for, like, business.
Yeah. Imagine being, like, the social media manager of the @Israel account.
That sounds like that would suck. You can't say on our podcast that we did voter fraud for Alexa. Maybe they'll take it back or something.
This has really just kind of stuck in my head, like, the concept of Israel Twitter offering free BetterHelp just has kind of broken me in a way that I can't totally explain.
I mean, I get why. Like, I get it. Yo, maybe...
And
yeah, go ahead.
I'm also just thinking about the ways that, like, global conflict is playing out on social media, and how even compared to when the Russia-Ukraine war broke out in 2022, we're in such a different place in social media where we have become a lot more fractured and decentralized because of the attempted Twitter exodus. When Russia invaded Ukraine, Elon Musk didn't own Twitter.
This is true. Yeah, no, I think, honestly, the shitification of Twitter has really created issues in the way that people are talking about this. Let me put it that way. Do you want to hear my really hot take about this?
Is it that when Elon Musk owns Twitter, he doesn't monitor disinformation in the same way that Twitter previously did, which already kind of had issues, but now it's even worse, so there's a lot of misinformation happening, and it's really bad?
No, but that's, I mean, that's a pretty normal take. Like, I would just agree with that. Like, full send it, you know? I had a hotter take than that. It's like actually, like, mildly hot. Yeah, no, I mean, my hot take is that one of the key differences that I think is... So, first of all, we're both in, like, mad liberal bubbles online. And I think in the Russia-Ukraine crisis, there was a very clear guy that you were rooting for, guy that you were not rooting for. Whereas in the Israel-Palestine, like, situation, I'm calling it situation as if that's what it is. No, this, like, whatever. There's a lot of liberal infighting. by people who
yeah.
don't know what they're talking about, and trying to get cookie points on various social medias without really understanding the situation, like, and then being like, why did the leopards eat my face, said the person who voted for the leopards eating face party, when there are consequences for what they're, like, promoting or not promoting or disseminating. You know what I mean? Where it's like, people are acting like this is like, let's get cookie points from this crisis, and then getting like, oh god, now people think I have bad opinions. And it's like, guys, just, you don't understand what's going on, like, just don't post about it. It's like, you know, most people don't need to hear what you need to say. I think it's also,
like, it's very okay to feel like confused or conflicted about things when, like, you can't learn about, like, decades and decades of history from an Instagram infographic. And I think people are like, oh fuck, a war is happening and I'm not super informed about it. Let me, like, as quickly as possible formulate a take. And I have also just been very fascinated by people's need to share on social media, like, where they stand. And I think a lot of that pressure for people to take a stance immediately is challenging.
Yeah, like,
and I also don't think people need to take a stance. Like, I don't care what, like, a person who I met at a punk show 3 years ago has to say about this.
Right, it's like, I mean, obviously you're better positioned to talk about all this shit than I am, but I'm very much like, most of the people on the internet you don't need to give your opinion about every single thing, even if you are a public figure.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. Like, I know that we've all forgotten that, but you don't need to do that.
I think there's also just, like, this discourse that I've seen come up where people share these infographics that are like, your Jewish friends are watching and they see that you're being silenced, or that you're being silent. And for me, like, as a Jewish person who has a lot of emotions about the horrors, I would rather someone be silent than post something that just makes no fucking sense.
Amanda, are you watching my social media, and do you see that I'm being silent?
Yeah, I'm like, damn, Isabel, my friend who I have spoken with privately about this, you know, she never posts on Instagram, but she really should be posting right now. And, like, I mean, I think there's a big difference between, like, yeah, like, I've gotten texts from people being just like, oh, hey, like, how are you doing? And, like, yeah, I appreciate that. But, like, I'm not, like, keeping a list and being like, this person didn't post on Instagram. Guess they're anti-Semitic.
That would be a fucking crazy thing to do.
Yeah, I have a spreadsheet of all my friends and whether or not they might be anti-Semitic or not.
That would be a lot. Not the weirdest spreadsheet I've seen, but that would be a lot.
But I mean, this is why it's so insane, is, like, I think this is why the BetterHelp tweet stuck with me, because literally, like, when I saw this, I think it was, like, Monday or Tuesday, and I was, like, feeling really depressed about everything, and feeling really, like, helpless and stressed, and also frustrated about, like, seeing family members post things I don't agree with, but then seeing, like, non-Jewish people post things I don't agree with, and feeling kind of like, you know, just the flattening of social media feels really alienating. And I was literally, like, in bed, like, taking, like, a little break in between, like, work things, because I was like, damn, the horrors are really happening. And then my friend sends me that tweet, and I was like, I can't do this.
Oh, the horrors. They're happening. The horrors will get you no matter where you are.
The horrors are happening. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about some better horrors to end the podcast.
All right. We're gonna go full circle on the seriousness of the horrors on this podcast. A real horseshoe-shaped arc that we're going on here. Anyway, baseball. Tell me about baseball.
Okay, so the one thing giving me hope in this week of terror is baseball. So, okay, let me explain to you in ways you might understand.
Sure.
The Phillies are Zagreus, and the Braves are Hades before you find out that he's, like, actually kind of chill.
Oh shit, okay.
It's a very, like, David Goliath situation where the Braves are, like, not just, like, one of the best teams in baseball this season, but, like, one of the best teams that has ever played baseball. Like, They broke 1 billion records. They're fucking insane, and they are direct rivals of the Phillies, which has been very scary for me, a Phillies fan. The Phillies are just some guys. I've talked about this on the podcast before. So, the Phillies defeated the Braves in the playoffs. The Phillies are still playing the Braves. Their season is over.
Okay.
I think this is funny and this is worth talking about because Braves players and Braves fans are blaming their loss on the liberal media.
What? Wait, okay, how do these things connect together? That's very funny. And I'm sure that we can go by the fact that the Braves are called the Braves that, some racism, perhaps. Some specific demographics, perhaps.
Native American leaders have been saying to the Braves for decades, like, hey guys, what if you didn't do this? And then now we've had other teams, like the Cleveland Guardians, changed their name from a thing that was racist before. The Washington Commanders did the same thing. And then you just still, the Braves are still out there just doing their, like, racist hand motions and whatever. So we already don't like the Braves. And the Phillies just have been, like, bullying the Braves mascot, and also the part of where there's, like, the media that they're mad about is so Bryce Harper is a player on the Phillies. This man is genetically engineered to be good at baseball. Not really, but he's just, like, fucking insane at baseball.
Love that.
He is, like, the Phillies superstar. Game 2 of their series, the Phillies lost on, like, an absolutely insane play that the center fielder made. And then it was so insane that they ended up catching Bryce Harper, like, running back. Not going to explain the baseball, but, like, it was just an insane play, and Bryce Harper made the last out, and they lost the game. And then the shortstop for the Braves, who, like, isn't even one of their very good players. Like, the Braves have superstars, and the shortstop is not one of them. So this guy, Orlando Arcia, then Harper overhears him saying, "Attaboy, Harper."
Okay.
Which is like, ouch. And this just got, I mean, in their defense, this got blown very out of proportion, and then Phillies fans were, like, pissed, and Bryce Harper was pissed. And then in the next game, which the Phillies win 10-2, Bryce Harper hits 2 home runs, and both times he is running around the field, staring down Orlando Arcia the whole time. Like, the man is not looking at where he is running. He is not looking at, like, making sure he's hitting the bases, even though he is. He is just fucking giving this guy the death stare, and then he hits 2 home runs, and he does this twice.
That sounds terrifying to witness. I'm delighted.
Insane stuff. And then, in the post-game interview, they ask Orlando Arcia, like, what's up with this? And he was like, yeah, well, I mean, he wasn't supposed to hear it.
That doesn't even make it better.
And then he was like, yeah, I mean, like, we were all saying it in the clubhouse, but, he wasn't supposed to hear it. So it's like, now you're admitting to saying it and also admitting that the rest of the team is also saying this in the clubhouse.
Like, none of that's okay.
So this just became, like, a really big thing. There's a bunch of, like, Attaboy Harper merch. It's a whole thing. So then Ronald Acuna Jr., who is another, like, superstar Braves player, when the Phillies won the whole, like, best of 5 series, Ronald Acuna Jr. says, "When you walk around a clubhouse and feel like you're on eggshells, that sort of thing lingers with a team. You have to think, if they don't print everything they hear, all the nasty things they do to us behind their back, this is a different series. We have a clearer mind. They handed Philadelphia the series." So basically, this guy who is, like, going to be a Hall of Famer baseball player, like, he's crazy good, he's saying that the Braves lost because the papers printed that Orlando Arcia said "Attaboy Harper."
That seems like you're blaming things that don't matter, but that's okay.
And then another player, Travis D'Arnaud, said, "The clubhouse is a sanctuary, and I think when things like that get out, it doesn't make people want to talk to the media at all."
I love the clubhouse is a sanctuary. What a way of saying that.
The clubhouse is a sanctuary.
The clubhouse is a sanctuary. But then also concurrently while this is happening, I need you to, for me, just everyone, the listeners and Isabel, Google Atlanta Braves blooper.
Blooper is the name of their mascot. And paint me a word picture of this guy.
I also really enjoy the way that you've almost been saying Blaves multiple times here. Sorry.
Braves, Blooper, it's hard.
Yeah, I get the Atlanta Braves Blooper. Like, that's rough. Why he look like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he kind of looks like a penis.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for him now, and the description is large, furry, beige creature. And yeah, kind of penile. More than a little bit.
Yeah.
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 Why he look like that?
Phillies fans have started bullying Blooper because it all starts when Blooper tweets. Like, yes, Blooper has a Twitter. This is also just insane. Blooper tweets, "One more day," the day before the playoff series starts. And then some random Phillies fan quote tweets it and says, "Till your death."
Philly fans,
honestly, like, is that kind of a death threat? Yes. Are they threatening, like, an anthropomorphic idea of a character? Yeah. It's, like, not that serious. But Blooper goes off. Blooper starts tweeting, like, he quote tweets the "till your death" and then says, "My favorite thing about Philly fans is how well adjusted they are. Probably the most even keel fan base out there."
Oh, and no, he's fucked up. Like Philly sports fans in general, I know, are proud of how insane they are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are also tweets that, like, when some of the games were in Atlanta and some of them were in Philly, and the ones that were in Philly, people were tweeting, like, if you are going to the game, you need to behave like a fucking insane person because that is how we win. Like,
I mean, it's true.
The Philly crowds really help their teams win by being absolutely vile. Like, if I didn't live in Philly, I would hate Philly fans, but so then somebody tweets to Blooper, "Okay, mister, we have the Fanatic at home." Because the Fanatic is the Phillies mascot who's, like, green and fun and whatever. And then Blooper says, "I get that the Fanatic is an OG, but his last highlight was recorded with a flashbulb. It's shocking you guys hate Dallas so much because you relive the Fanatic's glory days the same way you relive their Super Bowls."
Damn.
And then, like, people just keep going after Blooper. And then he says, "I was told Philly fans were tough. But apparently, if you just point out the fact that their mascot is famous because he's old, they'll cry and threaten you. Unserious behavior." So Blooper is just going off, and also Phillies fans are also kind of being, like, insane, but, it's fun. So there's a Know Your Meme page about this.
That is, okay, that's gotten pretty far. Every time, like, you talk about sports, I'm like, wow, this sounds like fandom, but for, like, boys.
I know. No, I mean, literally, I think that sports are reality TV for men.
That's a hot take.
Yeah, I will stand by that completely. But on the Know Your Meme page, it says, quote, "Blooper has fallen victim to one of the classic blunders, which is never engage with Philadelphia sports fans online regarding any topic, and now will have to pray its team bails it out, lest it go down in history as the mascot that provoked the proverbial bear. Now that would be a real blooper. But hey, the Phillies won the series, and now Braves fans are like, it's because you bullied Blooper, and because the media said that Arcia said attaboy Harper."
So I would argue that this is probably the last time you had fun on the internet. Would you agree with this?
This is the last time I had fun on the internet. I mean, the piece that we talked about earlier about the, Kyle Chakia says, "When was the last time you had fun on the internet?" The last time I had fun on the internet was when the Phillies beat the Braves in the NLDS, but also this happened at the same time that, like, a war crime was happening. So a lot of my feed was the war crimes, and a lot of my feed was, like, people absolutely demolishing the Braves. So, that's just a metaphor for where the internet is at right now.
On that note, if you like this episode, tell a friend. Word of mouth is how we grow. Thank you to all of our patrons, and shout out specifically to Zoe, Bray, Andromeda, Thea, Brian, Gabriel, Lotta, Matt, Max, my sugar daddy Sam, and Aaron's husband. If you want your name in the above or in our Twitter header, slide right into our Patreon on patreon.com/wowtrue. Shout out to audio editors Allison Mills and David Newtown, graphic designer and Canva Warlock Eric Silver, who made our logo, Sam Reiser, who made our podcast music, and Tessa Farrow, who is transcribing our episodes. You can find us on Twitter as @wowtruepod and Instagram and Facebook as @wowtrue. Had your 15 seconds of internet fame, slide right into our Twitter DMs and tell us about it. And until next time, let's get weird on the internet.